And now it's time for me to welcome you to TGIF with Dr. Femi Paul. A lot of people call me PFP, and that's fine. Now, this promises to be another off-the-chain conversation we're going to have today. Now, I will always ask you, how are you doing? How's your week been? I know that God is on our side, but sometimes the challenges of the week kind of test your faith, but God comes through for us in the very end. So I want you to stay relaxed because the week is done. We might as well have a good time now. So TGIF is about chilling out and relaxing and having a good time. Get your drink, get a comfortable chair. You can see my chair, it leans, and I'm already relaxed. This happens to be a very special day as well. It happens to be my wife's birthday, so I say happy birthday, darling. God bless you, and for those that share the same day, God bless you too. How about that? Now, welcome to TGIF. We're going to get this ball rolling. Let me welcome you, particularly our first timers. And you know that you ought to bring people to this kind of platform where intelligent conversations happen in a friendly atmosphere and we have a lot of laughter. TGIF, my friend, is all about meaningful and enabling conversation that equips everyone to be able to thrive in life, especially in these tough times and unpredictable seasons. I will always quote John C. Brown. He says, conversation is the catalyst for innovation. Conversation is critical for innovation. It acts like a catalytic effect, has a catalytic effect on our abilities to generate innovative ideas. And Samuel Brown said, we had talk enough, but no conversation. There was no meaningful discussion had. We had talk enough, but no conversation. There was nothing meaningful discussed. We cannot just talk. It has to have content that enriches. That's what this platform is all about. Now, this platform is about us. We do this together. It's not about me. It's a friendly conversation that we all chip into. It's not a lecture, and so I want you to get ready to be part of it. My comment about conversations is this: without enabling conversations, there cannot be the right kind of exchange of thoughts and opinions, and consequently, there will be no new understanding or progress. But as we have this conversation, iron sharpened iron, we gain more insight and understanding, make the adjustments, and we do better. We mount up with wings. Come on now, we'll fly, be on top where we belong. TGIF, my friend, is all about helping people like you and I, helping us handle life better, and as we will be, that will help us handle 2021 better if we would share knowledge, stories, and experiences with each other. So with that, you know that you have to join me in this conversation by posting your contributions, your questions, your high fives, your thumbs up, whatever it is, your explosion emojis and so on. That bam, I like that. Whatever you do something, be a part of this enabling conversation, very meaningful conversation. Now, you need to share this video. I don't know what is so difficult about sharing video. It's always, I think, on the left corner, bottom corner of your screen. Share. It won't cost you nothing. Nobody's going to charge you. But a lot of people are going to gain access to the right kind of conversation that will enable them to make destiny. And you will get all the credit and all the blessings from God because you helped someone who you didn't even see. Share that video right now. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, we looked at the subject, attaining fame or celebrity status at all costs. And that was a conversation we needed to have because everybody is talking about celebrity. We almost worship them. Everybody want to be like that. Attaining fame or celebrity status at all costs. A meaningful pursuit or mindless obsession. The Friday after that, we looked at the subject or the theme, coping mechanisms during life's challenges. Come on, tell me something I don't know. It has been challenging for the last 1.5 years, extremely so, like the world has never seen before. So we looked at the coping mechanisms during life's challenges because we found out that a lot of people cope somehow. But everybody looks for a coping mechanism when things are not going your way, things are really tough or rough. But you could find a coping mechanism that will end up giving you more trouble or problems after the fact. So if you miss that, you want to go to our platforms and then watch that video and be enriched. And the Friday after that, we looked at another amazing subject: bank error in your favor. What would you do? Hey, in the Nigerian context, a lot of people say, hallelujah, God's favor has handed the bank's favor to me. A lot of people said, now I know the prayer chant, the prayer point I'm going to be speaking to God about. Father, let me have bank error in my favor. But that's not the real thing about the conversation. You want to go there and watch that one as well. And only last week we looked at the subject, dealing with the need to lie, and dealing with the need of being lied to, dealing with the need to lie and being lied to. We suddenly realize that, hello, young and old, we feel the need to lie, and sometimes we're so accustomed to it, it doesn't even sound like a lie anymore, it's just expedient. But we found out also that people put us on the spot and create a tough environment where it's difficult to tell the truth, and so they kind of force people to need to lie. So we looked at it from different perspectives. I didn't have enough time to talk about this. Listen, what about dealing with being lied to? We found out that you hate it when people lie to you, especially when you know they're telling the truth, you just don't have the evidence yet. And if you ever got it, you're gonna really hammer them. And so that's not the best thing to do, because there's a better way of dealing with being lied to. The one thing for sure is that the Bible says we should not return evil for evil. And we should not, the Bible says, do not take vengeance, because vengeance is mine. So when you're being lied to, don't go and rehearse how you will hammer somebody into a paste because you're going to catch them out and so on. What you need to do is get over it and realize that you need to protect yourself against such people, because you take decisions on the information people give you, and you can get really hurt financially, emotionally, and all kinds of things. And so what you do is you confront the person in love. The Bible says whatever is not done in love is sin, and love conquers all. And you confront the person in love, so you didn't need to do that, and correct the person, try to mitigate the damage, and ask God to compensate you. Because truly, the Bible says, forgive others, or your Heavenly Father will not forgive you. Forgive others the way He forgives you. You tell some lies, and God forgives you. So we want to really talk about that. If you need to know more about that, you can reach me, type your question, and I'll be glad to answer it. But today we gotta move on. I'm so excited on today's subject. What is it about? The theme for today is what really matters to men and women these days. What is it that really matters to men and women these days that we live in? The myths, the truths, the present realities. Ooh, this is good. Now, another way to put it is what matters the most. The title of this discussion is what really matters to men and women these days, the myths, truths, and present realities. But turn it around a little bit. What matters the most for men and women, particularly in the Nigerian context? You know that our environment is one of a kind, and the environment requires for us to have this conversation. Now, step back a little bit and understand that human nature is changing, and it's prophetic from the Bible. The Bible says, towards the end, it is going to be like this. People are going to be more self-centered, self-focused, self-conscious, and into themselves like never before. So in the context of what matters the most for men and women, you know what's going to happen? What matters the most is going to start shifting, and is going to be shifting into the realm of self-centeredness, self-involvement. You're so involved in themselves, and selfishness. So in these days of growing, another way selfishness manifests is called individualism. It's all about the individual, not we, I. So in these days of growing individualism and glaring individualistic living and expectations, you know that this subject, we got to talk about it, because what matters most to people changes with seasons. The season we're in is the season of individualism. I do my thing how I like it, what I want it, and nobody can tell me what to do, and nobody is allowed to challenge that, otherwise you're going to be stoned on the social media. And so what does that tell us? People now have the permission to be individualistic. It's not a collective anymore. It's not a fellowship anymore. It's not a family anymore. It's not a club. It's not a representation of a family anymore. Everybody is a god on his own turf. We respect the individuality, but individualism or individualistic living is something else. It's taking it to the extreme. So in the context of all of this, we want to find out today what really matters to men and women these days. What are the myths? What are the truths? And in the present day reality, what are we going to be expecting? And guess what? What people around us see as what matters the most to them is going to affect all of us, because no man is an island. So not only do I want you to talk about what really matters to you as you evolve, we will see how it affects other people, because we're interconnected. And sometimes when you see the effect, you may need to adjust what really matters to you. Who would have guessed right? Think about the context of the people around you. If you're married, your spouse. If you're not married, your fiance or boyfriend. If you have children, if you have staff, are you your boss? If you're not the boss, if you're the business owner, your crew, your employees, your friends, your colleagues, your schoolmates. How would they have guessed right if somebody asked them, what do you think PFP's what do you think it matters the most to PFP, or what really matters to him, because it's going to affect you? Would they have guessed right? Have you ever imagined how many people get it wrong? Can they cope with what matters to the most to PFP? Can they cope with that? Would it align with what really matters to those who are close to you? Will it align with what they want, what the expectation about life is all about? And then the question is, shouldn't those who are close enough to us, or those who will become close to us by marriage or by friendship or business association, should they be able to know soon enough so that they can posture themselves and be able to know how to relate with you, if it is wise to relate with you that closely? What I mean to say is that what matters the most to me is so strong that it colors everything around me. If it's based on individualistic living, it's not going to be really beneficial to a lot of people. And in the pursuit of what really matters to me, a lot of things can get sacrificed, like other people's feelings, other people's expectations, and so on. So it's something that we need to talk about in the context of man and woman. How would what matters the most to a man not affect a woman who falls in love with him? Or how will it not appreciate or depreciate or traumatize or embellish or help somebody if what really matters to a lady, how will it not affect a man who falls in love with her? It's a very serious thing. It's a fundamental thing. It's a foundational thing. We really, really need to look at this thing. What do you think? Let's even start on the broad spectrum. What do you think matters the most to men as a species? I know the ladies are lovely. Say yes. We'll talk about this thing today. We'll hammer these boys, and so I know the guys too will say, "What do you mean? What about what matters? What really matters to women?" I know where you're going. But listen, we're not saying every man falls into that category. We're not saying every woman. But by and large, on a spectrum of scales, sufficient number or percentage of male or female fall into this category, and you're likely to have one as your boyfriend, your son, your neighbor, your friend, your boss, your employee. You're going to have to deal with this thing, so we might as well look at it and see what it really is and be better to deal with it. And for a second of us, we will hear what somebody says, and really gets us to see the big picture about what we're all about, what matters the most to us, what really matters to us. And we see the ugly side of it, how it is abrasive, like a porcupine. I see all of you guys coming on. Thank you for joining me today. I would like you to please contribute, ask your questions, harass anybody who is poking fun at one gender and the other. This is a friendly fire, because on our platform it's all love, one love, keep us together, no hate speech. But we really have a lot of fun, and we kind of challenge each other for, you know, the Bible says, I hope we have options. I just want you to hang in there. The conversation today is going to be lit. You don't want to miss that at all. So I want you to hang in there as we resolve this little glitch. Keep us together. My friends on Facebook, we just want to try and get Instagram to catch up with us so that nobody misses out. By all means, please get ready for, we're going into the thick of it now. We're looking at the subject, what really matters to men and women these days, the myths, the truth, and the present day realities. We want to be real about it. I said to you that even the Bible predicts that towards the end, people are going to get more selfish and self-centered and individualistic. And so that will really color what begins to matter the most to us. As a people, we're brought up communally, as a family, in a community and so on. But that's not happening anymore. Everybody solos their stuff by and large. So this is going to affect what matters to us. Okay, Olaide, nice to have you on board. As usual, you're firing from the hip. Olaide says, what matters to me now is my sanity. I like this girl. He said, what matters to me is my sanity and peace of mind. A good relationship with God and make money. I hear you, and love those that love me genuinely. Follow peace with all men. That's my motto now. So Olaide has given up being a fighter. Congratulations. I respect that. That's very good. So I want you to get ready. Share this video on the subject, what matters the most for men and women, particularly in the Nigerian context. What really matters to men, what really matters to women. And I said to you, we're allowed to try and categorize the sexes, but with the caveat that not everybody fits into that mold. But a good percentage of men, what really matters to them? I know for some men, football matters to them, but we're looking at things deeper than that. We can't cover everything, but we're going to learn some things. What really matters to women of today? They're not like our mothers. What matters to them is different from what mattered so much to the mother. So don't relate with a young lady the way the mother used to be. They're not quite the same. Same sex, different people. And the Bible says, get ready for this. Towards the end, men will be lovers of themselves. It's talked about self-centeredness, self-involvement with themselves. Selfishness is the ugly word for that. And then it leads to individualistic living and individualism that really doesn't cater for a lot of people, if anybody at all. And having said that, I want to move forward. I want to read something like I'm going to read a few things that some of my guys on my team have to say about this, and what some of their friends have said. Like they said, when I ask my colleagues what they think really matters to men, it says, Ejiro, one of my colleagues, rolling her eyes, answered and said, they want submission and respect, but most of them don't want to earn it. What? Ejiro, I hope you're hearing me. Now, I know you're not talking about all of us, because some of us are not quite like that, but we know that there's a lot of truth in this. Men generally want Nigerian men submission and respect, but I'm learning something now, and she must have some experiences, but most of them don't want to earn it. I agree too that respect is not given, respect must be earned. Submission, I don't know. I want to hear from you. I want to learn from you. So bring it on. Today we want to talk about this. And still quoting from what Laide said, talking about her colleagues when she asked, what do you really think men and women want? Deola said, a man wants a woman that is homely and will give him peace. Is that so? What percentage of men want a woman that is homely and will give him peace? I'm sure all men want a woman that give them peace. Now, how peaceful are women today? I don't know. I want to hear from you. Whatever we say, we're going to say it in love, and we're going to receive in love, and we're going to learn through the process. Laide concludes by saying, but they didn't say what a woman wants in a man. I wish they did. So this is your chance. These colleagues of Laide have said what they feel or think or know that men really want in a relationship or in a woman. Now, this is the chance of the women to also tell us what women want from a man. They really matters in a relationship with a man. What really matters? What really matters to them? What matters the most? You know, as we say this, the people on the other side of the spectrum can get to hear it. That's a good side. And consider that, isn't there a lot of truth in this thing? And if there's a lot of truth and it's not sounding so good, which means that we need to really adjust what really matters to us. When we put it in the context of the present day realities, the balance of the Word of God, and how it affects our loved ones, we may need to make some adjustments. Nothing wrong with that. Life is about being on a journey and making adjustments as you go. That's good. That's good. So, Olaide, thank you for your contribution. Olaide says, what matters to me now is my sanity. I want to see your reaction to that. You say, yeah, I agree with you. Thumbs up, a wave, whatever you do. And she says, peace of mind and good relationship with God. And she said, money. With that money, I'm sure my screen is going to burst open. Because we Nigerians, we do the money thing a lot. Let me bring a contribution from Chinonso. Chinonso is a friend to one of my all my ladies on my team as well. Chinonso, thank you for your contribution. Chinonso says, every man and woman wants peace of mind above everything else and not living in that crazy circuit. He says this is the truth, the real truth. But he says, however, in today's present day reality, what seems to matter most to both men and women are materially based. You're looking for trouble here. He says that they want peace of mind, but to a greater degree, I think both men and women are, what matters most is materially based. He explains, we wake up each day, most of the time we're thinking materialistically. No blame here, because the society and the world we have found ourselves these days has made it to be so. Bank error in my favor, all kinds of things. A woman, he goes on to say, a woman wants to settle down. The major thing on her mind when she wants to settle down is if her man is financially stable and good to go. Ladies, I want to hear from you. Chinonso says that when a woman wants to marry, what really matters to her, what matters to her the most is whether that man is financially stable and good to go. He says also a man won't settle down himself if he doesn't have a level of income, and so both man and woman are materialistic. This is not bad, he says. It only becomes an issue if that's all there is to that man or woman within the context of marriage. I applaud you. I like the balance. He says that's not bad. We got to deal with the financial realities. The present day realities about money is that you better have some. He concludes by saying, ideally, we should be spirit conscious, mind conscious, health conscious, and knowledge driven. But in reality, both men and women are driven by materialism, saying that what really matters has a lot to do with money and material things. But he says that that's not bad if that's not all there is to that person. So I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Chinonso? Do you want to qualify that? And remember that we want to hear from you. What do women think what do women think really matters to the men? And what do the men suspect really matters to the women? Either in the context of marriage, in the context of dating, or being courtship and all that. It's good to look at these things from both sides of the equation and learn. You know, when we talk about things, we get a wider view of it. So no point going around being conceited. And I asked a question, I said, if I were to ask the people around you what it is that matters the most about you, you'll be surprised how many of them will get it wrong. A lot of wives cannot really tell what really matters to the husband. A lot of husbands cannot really tell. They're going to get the answer wrong if they were to be asked what really matters to your wife. What do you think really matters? If you ask a lot of bosses, what do you really think matters to your staff? They probably get it wrong. If you ask the staff, definitely they're going to get it wrong. What really matters to your boss? And many staff do not even care. They just want their pay packet. Can I tell you something? What about parents? Do you know what really matters to your children? Because we don't know, that's why we get surprises when they get financially independent of us. That's when they really go after what really matters to them, when they don't need to answer to us anymore financially. And the children, do they know or do they even care what really matters to their parents? But these things, what really matters to an individual, actually drives everything about the person. And if the people around us don't know what really matters to us, they can never get to the point of pleasing us. And if they don't please us, we will be displeased, and in many cases we hide it or we medicate it with so many things, but after a while things begin to fall apart. That's one way or one reason why we need to talk about this thing. And some people say, I don't care what really matters to somebody. You will have to care if the person is close enough to you, because it will affect you. Nobody is an island. So, the question I want you to answer for me on this subject, what really matters to men and women, the myths, the truth, and the present day realities. The question is, whatever matters to a man or a woman, as the case may be, is it good for only them, the person, or is it good for all concerned around, intricately woven to the person, either because you work together, you're married, either because you're parents or siblings or whatever it is. Is it okay to be good for only the person who is projecting what really matters to them, or should it be a bit more encompassing and it should be good for all concerned? I want to hear from you. As we drift into an age of individualistic living, you know, and I know it's getting rougher and tougher. I want to hear from you. Okay, Brown says, I think nothing equates peace of mind. Okay, what really matters? And the peace depends on how the receiver defines peace. I thought peace is peace. So if you are not giving me peace, you're giving me trouble. I'm a bushman to the core. Okay, all right. Okay, there's something here. Okay, Dio, nice to see you on board. Okay, oh, I missed this. Forgive me. Oh, there's a lot going on here. Okay. Let me start with Leke says, I agree, money matters definitely, but not the most, but money matters. Okay, I hear you. Dio says, what I want in a man is to allow me be what God wants me to be. A man who pushes me to be a better version of myself is my king. I'm not moved by material things. I want to clap for Dio, and I know that's true, and God bless you. Okay, Olaide comes along again and says, men of nowadays don't want to earn anything. Okay, you are talking about, I'm sure you're talking about Laide's friend who said what? Ejiro, that says that the men of these days, what they really want is submission and respect, but most of them don't want to earn it. So Laide, commenting on that, says, men of nowadays don't want to earn anything but by force and bullying. Not all the men. Like, please calm down. Mommy, calm down. She goes and says, submission, respect, love, friendship, and all that is earned. You can't force anything and expect it to bear good fruit. And both genders, let me deal with this. She says, both genders need to learn and relearn on how to manage and understand each other's space and feelings. Okay, I have a problem here. My camera has switched. How do I switch this? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm trying to read your comments because you're very important, and the brilliance you bring to the table we really treasure. So she says that both genders need to learn and to relearn on how to manage and understand each other's space and feelings. None is superior, we're one in love. Thank you. Dio says, my parents taught me not to be dependent on a man or anybody for material things. I was raised to stand on my own 2 feet. That should be so, but nobody is an island. We're all connected. Even God did not allow Adam to be alone. In the course of our relating with people, we have to factor them in the things that matter the most to us. Otherwise, it won't all go well. Okay, I think I read what Chinonso said, and I asked a question. Whatever matters the most to us, or what really matters to a man or a woman, is it enough that it is good for that individual, or should it also be good for all those that are sufficiently connected to the person? Okay, this text is so small. I think they should have not picked this small text. Okay, Emmanuel Brown. For those who say money money really matters is for those who say money, just have a lot first. Billionaires, for those who say money, just have a lot first. He cancels. Billionaires still commit suicide. Ooh, the guy is talking volumes there. So money itself doesn't guarantee that everything is going to be fine. So it's not enough for that to be your main focus. It has to be rounded up with other things. Toby says it should be good for all concerned. The Rotary Foundation has this saying in their mantra called the 4-way test. Okay, so whatever really matters to you, you should apply a lot of tests to it. And I suggest that one of the things that, as good as it may be for you and satisfying, it should be good for those that are critically bound to you by relationship, family, whatever it is, because we're called to one another. And we should be careful about this individualistic what do they call it, strain of behavior that it's just a little off, because selflessness is the central word in Christianity, and you cannot live an absolute selfish life and please God. It doesn't work. So I want to read again. I think this is for Adeleke on the subject, what really matters to men and women these days, the myth, the truth, the present day realities. He says, it brings it home to himself. What really matters to me, Adeleke? He says, I cannot honestly say that I have one answer to this question, because I've come to realize that as I grow, the answer keeps changing. In my pre-teens years, what matters the most was being a superhero. Okay, we all went through that. Batman or whatever it is. During my teenage years, it was wearing the best clothes and being liked by the girls. Leke, I thought you were born again. As a young man in my 20s and early 30s, it's about finding meaning in life and making a lot of money. Here comes this money thing again. Well, the 4-way test needs to be applied to what really matters, or what matters the most to you. Now he addresses the myth. He says, because the subject of today is what really matters to men and women, the myths, truths, and present day realities. He says, Leke says, a myth is widely held, or a myth is a widely held but false belief or idea. A myth is a widely held but false belief or idea. The key words here are widely held but false. And this means that many things have been built upon the foundation of a myth. If your guess is as good as mine, you can only imagine the eventual outcome of such a building, given that falsehood is a key foundation here. Eventually, it will come crumbling down. I have lived with myths about what matters to men at different stages of my life, and I can say that all those myths, like money equals success, don't hold water at the end of the day. So we need to be careful what we hold to be true, but it is false. For instance, I ask you, how many people in a relationship know what really matters to the other person? Many times we just assume. Many times they carry over from wherever we're coming. Do we really have those conversations? Now, how do you please somebody that your concept of what really matters to the person is wrong? It's a myth. And so between men and women, there are many myths. And well, let's go on. You will see the comments of people from experience. Adeleke continues and says, when you look at the present day realities, when talking about what matters most to men and women, it is little wonder that there's so much drama going on. You know, when this topic was introduced and we had initial discussions about it, it made me conclude that one of the reasons why there is such a high rate of divorce and marital breakdown amongst young people in my generation is because of answering this question with mythical answers, not real answers, not truths. Nothing thrives on falsehood, because a myth is a false statement believed to be true. So he says nothing thrives on falsehood, absolutely nothing. So when relationships are driven by myths, it's only a matter of time before the drama comes, and the drama is a crack. After the crack is the crumbling. After the crumbling is the disaster. He goes on to say, I believe the truth about knowing what matters most of men and women is in finding out from the man or the woman themselves. Go to the source. Don't ask a third party about somebody, because that person too may give you a myth, which sounds like the truth, is believed to be the truth, but it's false. It says when we make the effort to know where each other person is per time, and it's talking about what really matters to that person per time, and engage them with an open mind to know them, we will discover the things that matter to them per time. When we engage with people from this perspective, the true potential and the power of meaningful relationships will be discovered. That deserves an applause. He says, he goes personal now, and I really want to thank those of you that open up your lives to be a blessing to us, because the truth is we're not much different from each other. Honestly, we go through the same thing. So if you talk about yourself, if I'm honest, I'm going to see myself a lot in your story, if I'm going to be honest. So he goes personal and says, in my marriage, it was when I made the effort to really know what matters to my wife that I began to see the wonderful woman God blessed me with. Up until then, I was speaking imaginary fights with myself because I felt she wasn't responding to the things I was doing, and I was doing with so much gusto that I thought should matter to her. I was the one in error. Lesson learned, married, sweeter. I like that. Adeleke. I pray that this is going to be the discovery a lot of us are going to come to and begin to really enjoy that relationship. Not just married, friendships, being parents to kids that are now like your friends. He concludes by saying, come to think of it, the people who are closest to me have a common denominator. What is that? They all understand me and know what matters most to me. They also relate with me based on this truth. So it makes it easy for me to reciprocate the same to them. What a beautiful story. What a beautiful story. Okay, Toby asked me back the question, when they ask, is it fair to all concerned? Oh, he's talking about Rotary. Is it fair to all concerned? And they respond with a clap, which seconds the statement. So Rotary, whatever they want to do, they're running through 4 tests. And one of the tests, I didn't even know that, is it fair to all concerned? So what matters the most to you? Is it fair to your spouse? Is it fair to your children? Is it fair to your neighbors? Is it fair to your friends? Is it fair to your society? Is it fair to your church? Is it fair to your pastor? Is it fair to your colleagues in the office? Is it fair to your boss? Nobody has a right to be so self-involved and say, what matters to me? I don't care how it affects anybody else. That in itself is rooted in something wrong. Are you there? Okay, so I want to hear from you. Please do the right thing, even at this point in time. Share this video, because somebody needs to be part of this conversation, both as the one who is thinking about what matters most and the one who is receiving the other end of somebody close to you, and whatever they want the most is affecting you for good or for evil. We want to bring this thing to the table. And concerning what really matters to men or women, as the case may be, and trust me, I'm not talking about just old men, because at different transitions, what matters most to you will change. So we're talking about young men, middle-aged men, and older men like us who are already having grandchildren. What matters most? Shouldn't those that say they love us want to know? I mean, let me ask a question. Why shouldn't they want to know? What is love if you don't want to know what really matters to me? How can I say I love you when I don't care to ask or to know? I'm even so careless, I just assume. How do you express your affection for people when you don't know them or you don't care to know them? Okay? And then when you talk about what matters the most or what really matters to a man or a woman, can I ask a question? If I think whatever I think it matters most to me, should it not be tempered by whether it is realistic or not? In these present times, if what matters to me is I like to hug people, I like to socialize, I like to embrace people, I like the activity, I like a lot of dense activity of people at all. You know, there's some people they like dancing when the place is hot and people are around. That's what they do. Now, in the present realities, how realistic is that? So when we own and we have a right to own what really matters to us, can we own it without tempering it with being what is realistic? What matters the most to you may be freedom to go out and come in anytime you like. By the time you're married, can you again still continue to hold on to that being what matters the most to you, unfettered freedom, when you now have a spouse? How realistic is that? Can we discuss this? Do we not all have a responsibility to filter what matters the most to us just by the standard of realism? Is it realistic in the scheme of things? Can the parents say what is realistic to me is I just pack my bag and go when I feel like traveling, when I feel like going on holiday? When you have children, you can't do that anymore. They got to go to school. They have homework. So when we meditate too much about what matters the most to us and we don't filter it through what is realistic, we become unrealistic ourselves. When I was single, I can pack my bag and go to Australia, and I don't even have a dog. I can lock up my apartment and go. But when I have 4 children, how? So I want to hear from you. And perhaps somebody is looking at you and say, okay, maybe this has been the problem. You know, I'm not assumptions. And some people think because I have given you money, you should be happy. You cannot tell me something matters the most to you, because to the giver, money is what matters the most. Some people want a hug before they take the money. Forgive me, I'm really we're back. Okay, that's good. So let me take you back to what Awesome said. Awesome says the extent to which you can please a person is totally dependent on how much you know the person, and not how much you think you know the person. Today, a lot of men and women do not really know what they want. This is because they have not sat down to ask themselves, wow, you're shaking the table. Now, if you need to sit down to ask yourself what you really want, why then do you think you can assume you know what somebody else wants? You don't even know what you want. And you're assuming you know what somebody else wants. Now, that's another story here. In my little research about this, I found that a lot of people can't answer the question, what really matters to you? They struggle. They don't know anymore. Life has perhaps been so rough and tumble. Maybe they used to know, but somehow it's all mixed up now. But you're entitled. You need to sit down. You're an individual. That's why your iris doesn't have a replica in any human being before or after. Your thumbprint is the same thing as well. So what it is that you're so an individual. You are entitled. It is better for you to know what really matters to you. And the people who fit into that are the people really that fit into your life. So that in itself filters out who can be close, up and close to you, and who cannot. Otherwise, you will have incredible conflicts and things will not work. Okay, Olaide comes on with a contribution. Olaide says, exactly, sir. You can't love without knowing or caring about that. And she's talking about knowing what really matters to someone. It says, no matter who you are. I hold that position as well. And a lot of us are guilty by omission, not because we're bad, not because we don't care. We just haven't sat down to think about it. Okay? Okay? I'm having some trouble reading some small print. That's not going to happen again. We're going to change the font size so that we can do this. Okay, so Awesome goes on to say, so from what Awesome has said, we all need to sit down and ask our individual self, what really matters to me? What matters to me the most? And then we need to communicate it in love to those that are around us. And then we need to ask them. And not ask, there's a way you can ask something that the person has no choice but to say what you want them to say. We talked about that last week, the need to lie. Some people put you on the spot. You need to just tell them. When your wife says, baby, am I looking fine? And the only answer is, you're looking fine. Am I putting on weight? No. You can't put on weight. You are like a car. The weight is always the same. So when you ask what matters the most to you, don't ask in a way that is suggestive of a particular answer you want to hear. So you need to find out for yourself. Otherwise, you will always be unhappy because nobody will be able to please you because you don't even know what you want. And when you know that, when you apply to the people around you, you will know who fits in and who doesn't fit in. So the job is half done. And he goes on to say, for example, the society feels that what matters most to men is money. If you agree, let me see you post your agreement. So the society feels that what matters to men is money, the Nigerian society. But this itself is a myth. The main truth is that a good name is better than gold. In today's world, but taking Nigeria as a reference point, most people do not really care about the name. They just want to make the money at all costs, take the money and go make a lot of noise and have a raucous fun with it. I agree with you. But a few people are left who think a good name is better than gold. But in the present day reality, which is one of the standards that we're filtering all this through, how many people think so? Finally, he says, for me, this topic has made me put back on my thinking cap, which really matters, what really matters to me now. For me, this topic has made me put back on my thinking cap about what really matters to me now at this stage of my life. Thank you, PFP. You are the kind of leader our generation really needs right now. Oh, thank you. Somebody thinks so. All right. Now, you all are so quiet today. Is it that you're just thinking, wait a minute, what really matters to me? What matters to me the most? And the different segments of our life, you just don't have enough time to cover that. In my relationship with my children, what really matters to me the most? In my career, what really matters to me the most? In my relationship with my wife or my husband, what really matters to me the most? Now, you have to know it, and you need to lovingly find out from the other person and try and marry the two. Does not the Bible say, how can two walk together except they be agreed? If what matters to you the most, I don't even know it, either because I'm careless or I have a myth I learned from my mother and I superimpose it upon you, it's not going to work. It's like two people pulling in different directions. When one suit, it's going to rend, it's going to tear. But let me ask you, why don't we even ask a question within ourselves and amongst ourselves? What does God have to say about what should really matter to us men and women? Why is this discussion centered around just what I really want? Does what God expects us to really want, does it come to bear in this situation or not? What does God say? What does God have to say about what should really matter to us men and women, particularly those of us that are children of God? At a time, what really mattered the most to Israel was the food that they used to eat in Egypt. The lifestyle was what mattered to them. The promised land didn't matter to them anymore, and it was a problem. Now I have the video. Okay, Instagram is pausing again. Give me a moment. Don't know. Okay, we'll try and wrap this up. So what does God say? So when it came to a time when what mattered to the children of God was not what God expects to matter to them, there was friction. And I pray that we will not have friction with God. We will enjoy love with God. We will be in the spirit of the Lord. And when that friction happened, and God could not persuade them to stop thinking like that, you know what happened? What happened was Psalm 106 verse 15. But let me read from the Living Bible translation. So he gave them their demands, but sent leanness to their souls. He gave them what mattered the most to them. He gave it to them. The quails, they ate meat. They said they wanted meat. He gave it to them. Everywhere was full of meat. But he sent leanness to their souls. Sometimes when we refuse to filter what matters the most to us by what is realistic as a parent, what is realistic as a wife, what is realistic as a husband, because every relationship you have should bear upon your focus in life. When we stop to do that, we'll take it even to God, where whatever we say matters the most to us in life, we don't filter it by what God expects to be what should matter the most to us in life. And in this case, they got the short end of it. That will not be our portion in Jesus' name. Okay, Adeleke says, when it comes to family life, what matters the most is to be a good husband to my wife and an exemplary model to my children. That is good. I'm really sorry for those who are on Instagram, because you may not be able to hear me or to see me. I don't know. The video is paused. It's not coming on. Okay, it's not on. Okay, but I'm going to try and bring this to a close. My time is really gone. So he gave them their demands. He gave them what matters the most to them. But what happened is that he sent leanness to their soul in this truth, that nobody can just determine on them by themselves, irrespective of the society, irrespective of God, your family, what is important, because that is going to be terrible at the end of the day. Oh, sir, this topic is just like when our mothers tell us, you better go and sit down and think about your life. This is really deep, and she says this is really deep. If we can get this question right, we're settled and we can align with God's purpose for our lives. God bless you richly, sir, for this topic and the platform. God bless you too. Thank you. Daniela says, what matters the most with regards to family life is to have a happy and peaceful home. Well, I want to thank you for that. Okay. Okay. Instagram is live now. So sorry we lost you there. I was talking, and I'll back up a little bit.